All right, very good. I'd like to take a moment just to invite all of you to there was a U.S. Mayor's Summit I'm going to put it up here. It's happening. It's U.S.-Mexico Mayor's Community Summit organized by Sister Cities International. It is October 11th through the 13th. And I wanted to show you, we have a few folks on the call whose cities will be there. We'll have the mayor from El Paso. We'll also have the mayor from Plano. So thank you, Andrew, for helping arrange that, as well as mayors from Santa Fe, Albuquerque, Brownsville, Mountain View, California, Culver City, California, Las Cruces, as well as mayors from Mexico, from Mazatlan, Tijuana, Ciudad Juarez, and we've got council members also from San Antonio, Fort Worth, San Jose, LA, and the list is growing. If you're interested, I'll send out a follow-up email, but this will be a 3-day conference. It's a binational conference. We'll spend a couple days we'll spend a day in San Diego, and then go to Tijuana the next day, and then be bused back at night. So it'll be back and forth literally across the border each day from the 11th through the 14th. So would love to have you consider coming, either you or your mayor or a council member or another elected official. It's going to be outstanding and much needed. I think these types of exchanges help you see people in person and create these people-to-people moments between cities that just help create more stability binationally. So if you're interested, I'll send people more information on that. So I'd also like to, as we get in, we have a guest speaker today. Today is sort of the theme is future forward thinking innovation. And I found a clip online and I had to share this with you. And what I'd like you to do is listen and watch and guess in the chat what year you think this was filmed. Okay. And I dare you not to laugh, because when you hear how people are talking, I mean, it sounds, well, that's enough setup. I'll let you be the judge. It's about a minute long. In the chat, guess what year this came from and listen and try not to laugh.
Back now at 56 past, I wasn't prepared to translate that as I was doing that little tease.
Oh, that's
that little
right.
mark with the A and then the ring around it.
At.
See, that's what I said. Mm-hmm. Katie said she thought it was about.
Yeah. Oh.
But I'd never heard it.
Around.
I'd never heard it said. I'd always seen the mark, but never heard it said. And then it sounded stupid when I said it. Violence at NBC.
I heard be around big fight up in the lunchroom the other week.
There it is. Violence at NBC. GE com. I mean.
Well, Allison should know.
What is internet anyway?
Internet is that
massive computer network.
Mm-hmm. The one that's becoming really big now.
What do you mean? That's big. How does one? What do you write to it like mail?
No, a lot of people use it and communicate. I guess they can communicate with NBC writers and producers. Allison, can you explain what internet is?
No, she can't say anything in 10 seconds or less.
Oh, Allison will be in the studio shortly.
What does it mean?
It's a giant computer network made up of. Started from.
Oh, I thought you were going to tell us what this was.
It's like a computer billboard.
It's not a. It's a computer billboard, but it's nationwide. And it's several universities and everything all joined together.
Right.
And others can access it.
Right.
And it's getting bigger and bigger all the time.
It came in really handy during the quake. A lot of people, that's how they were communicating out to tell family and loved ones they were okay, because all the phone lines were down.
I was telling Katie, and I've been
talking. But you don't need that. You don't need a phone line to operate internet.
No.
So doesn't that feel like the Stone Age? Any other guesses in the chat? I have 1996 from John, Ivan 1992, Victoria 1994, Natalie 1994. Natalie's computer class teacher had Katie Kirk's haircut. So the correct answer, that was from 1994, and that was 28 years ago. Doesn't that feel like the Stone Age? I mean, that is a whole other way of thinking and trying to imagine how you ran your city and delivered services to your residents back then when you were barely using email and not internet. Makes us think, okay, in 30 years, what are people going to look today at what we're talking about, what we're thinking and what we're saying, and what are they going to be laughing at? Or thinking, how do we live? How do we operate? How do we work in our city without all the amenities that we will have had in 30 years. And I thought it'd be interesting to look at the evolution.
Back now at 56 past. I wasn't prepared.
Them. So, it reminds me a lot of what the banking system did. Back then, any of you remember back in the golden days when if you wanted cash, you had to literally get in your car, drive to a bank, go see a teller, and have them give you cash. And then what was invented in 1969 that you could get cash in a lot of places, even if the bank was closed, you had the ATM. And then what was introduced a few decades later that allowed you to do transactions anytime, anywhere, as long as you had a device. We had online banking in 1995. And then a few years later was the advent of PayPal, and now Zelle and Venmo, Cash App, Apple Pay. So what we're really seeing is the evolution of currency. And now we've got crypto. And whether crypto is crashing or there's a recession, I'm not sure. But I know that the evolution and iteration of how we do business and how we work together has really changed. So one other thing I wanted to share with you, just if it's not on your radar, is the metaverse. I don't know if any of you are very familiar with this, but this is a concert that The Weeknd, the artist, did. He did a concert in the metaverse where people put on whether their virtual glasses or virtual displays, and he had 2 million people watch his concert all at once in the metaverse. And get this was 2 years ago. So this is old news. So this is really starting to pick up steam. The other example I'll show you is there was an international soccer game broadcast solely on the metaverse, and they had millions of people tune in. And you're probably thinking, okay, look at the picture. It's probably maybe it's a Western European country. Most people have internet access. They've got disposable income. Well, guess what? This was broadcast exclusively in Africa and the Middle East. So what we are seeing is a change in how we interact with one another. We're seeing a change with how cities are working. And I wanted to show you one last clip. This was really compelling. If you haven't seen this clip from Meta about the metaverse and the future of how we'll be working together in the office, this is pretty interesting. It's a real quick clip here.
Imagine if you could be at the office without the commute. You would still have that sense of shared physical space, those chance interactions that make your day, all accessible from anywhere. Now imagine that you have your perfect work setup and you can actually do more than you could in your regular work setup. And on top of all that, you can keep wearing your favorite sweatpants.
Looking good. Let's get together real quick for a debrief.
I'm free now. Let's jump in. Hi.
Hey.
So what do we think?
I think it's ready.
Great.
I'll prep it for the presentation.
All right. Good luck.
So the future of how we do work, no, it may not look exactly like this, but this is what's around the corner. And it may not be tomorrow, it may not be next year, but maybe 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. I mean, imagine being able to have a builder have a virtual appointment with planning and development to show them plans. Or imagine maybe a single mother that has 2 kids that works from home that may not have a car, may not be able to get to City Hall or get to the water department to pay their water bill or ask a question. They could put on a virtual headset, which in the next 10 years will become way less expensive. We're seeing some cities like San Jose, they're actually making digital copies of their city hall on the metaverse so people can have virtual appointments. And imagine removing those barriers from having to physically travel back and forth. But this is the future. This is what's coming. And we're very interested in exploring this in Fort Worth. And I don't know if there's interest of anybody on the call, but just to kind of tee that up, we have an incredible gentleman here who is right here in our great state of Texas, Ivan Jaime. He is the director of, let me get to, here we go. This little glamour shot here, got to put this one up. He is the director of government and public affairs at Walmart. and he's been there since November 2020. He was 15 years at Union Pacific Railroad. And so he works a lot with corporate strategy for government relations, advocacy, crisis and corporate reputation management in Texas and Oklahoma. I sent him the list of all of the chiefs and what cities they're from. And so he said he was going to try to do a little research on specifically what's happening in your markets with Walmart. He lives in San Antonio, which must be reason why he's outstanding at his job. But Ivan shared some information with me about the future of what Walmart and the shopping experience will be like in your cities. And it's pretty remarkable. So Ivan, thank you so much for being here, and take it away.
And of course, I start by not unmuting myself. Well, I don't know that I can match kind of the excitement and the jabbing that's been happening so far. And but I really appreciate the time this morning. As Carlos said, my name is Ivan. I'm originally from Brownsville. I'm a proud Rio Grande Valley native. Have a lot of family across the border in Matamoros as well, and a lot of family all throughout the valley in Mercedes and Westlaco and different areas. So I'm a proud RGV guy. I've been living in San Antonio now since 2008. And as Carlo mentioned, I spent the vast majority of my career at Union Pacific Railroad. I thought I would retire there, but actually ended up leaving during the pandemic for this opportunity at Walmart. And I've been here for a little bit under 2 years. Has been an incredible experience. The culture at Walmart, you would not think, but it is actually really amazing. Very people-centered, very people-focused. Whereas the railroad industry, it is innovating, but not at an extremely rapid rate. The experience at Walmart has been that because of the competitive environment, the innovation is just happening at such a fast clip. Obviously Amazon has been a beast in the industry. H-E-B in Texas does wonderful work. Target is incredible with incredible brand loyalty. And so it's just a very competitive environment. So with that, I'll kind of dive right in. I'm going to try something new. I was going to just put together a slide deck, and I said, I don't want to do that. And then I was just going to talk to you, and I figured that would get boring. So I'm going to try to show you some videos. I try to find videos of everything that I'm going to talk about and images. So feel free to let me know in the chat or let Carlo know afterward if this comes across as too commercially or not great. Let me know. I'm just going to give this a shot. But just to give you kind of a sense of who we are in the state of Texas, we have, let me see here. Okay, can you guys see the Walmart Texas State Impact sheet?
We see something. It says, "Thank you for your strong consideration."
Okay, it's probably pulling up my emails. Let me see. Let me try again, Carlo. Hold on. What about now? Can you see it now?
There you go.
There we go. Okay. All right. So we have a total of 593 retail units in Texas, which is the most that we have in any other state. And that includes supercenters, which is the vast majority of them, about 400 of those, in the neighborhood markets. I know we have a lot in the DFW area. We have some in the Houston and San Antonio area, quite a few in El Paso. And I really like those. I shop at a neighborhood market near here. It's a smaller format. It's obviously not as large as the supercenters, but very effective, and they serve communities really well. And of course, our Sam's Clubs, which is completely owned by Walmart. It's a subsidiary of Walmart. And there's been tremendous growth in that Sam's Club and Costco bulk buying, right? Especially during the pandemic, people really began to shift to purchasing in bulk. And it's been something that has been a valued service. And then I think that once people begin to shop in bulk, they tend to like it, and they tend to kind of keep going back to it. So that's a format that's been very successful for us. We have about 185,000 associates in the state, and we support about 782,000 more jobs. One thing that I wanted to kind of highlight for you guys is we spend about $81 billion with suppliers in the state of Texas. And vendors. And whenever you go in and begin looking at the suppliers, you're like, okay, who is Walmart spending all this money with? A very large portion of that is local businesses, electricians, right? Like part of the Walmart just goes dark and we need someone to come in and check it out. So we'll have local electricians that come and check it out, plumbers. When you just think about what it takes to keep our stores running, landscaping, just folks around the clock coming in, to keep our parking lots, to keep our landscaping looking decent. So it's just a lot of local small businesses. Sometimes we need counselors that can come in and talk to our employees and do some local training. So it's just a lot of local level investment. And then also businesses that are manufacturing products that begin and they pitch their products to Walmart or Sam's Club and they end up on our shelves, and then eventually they grow from there and they end up serving the entire country and the entire world through their relationship with Walmart. So it's a really cool relationship and impact that we have in the state. We also, obviously, because of folks spending in our stores, we collect over $2 billion in sales taxes for the state, which I would imagine, I'm not sure exactly how that works, but I'd imagine at least some of that filters back to the local communities. And then we pay ourselves about $500 million in taxes every year. A lot of that would go to property taxes, right, for our distribution centers and our super centers and the like. So we have a really big impact when you look at across the board on the state. And I mentioned some of the innovation that is going on, right? So I'm going to try to kind of walk you through some of what's going on, and it really ties into what the conversation has been today. There's a lot of innovation. I'm sorry, I was going to say a lot of automation, but I could have really chosen a number of topics. We're doing a lot of great stuff in sustainability with very aggressive goals to be carbon neutral here in the not too distant future, and we just see it as good business. Our stores in Canada have gone to being completely bag free, no more plastic bags in Canada. The US isn't quite ready for it. Maybe some parts of the US are ready for it, some parts would not be, but as Carlos said, it's kind of the way that it's trending and going. So let me share my screen again and let me show you some of what we're doing here. And I hope, okay, so we have this sheet. So I think I gotta share each individual one. Carlo, I don't think it allows me to share just follow along with me. I don't think.
We can go video by video. I know some of those videos you have are really good.
Yeah, no worries. Okay. So this is a project that we have going on primarily in DFW. So if you notice, if you have been to Walmart, the number one comment that I get from people is checkouts, right? Either number one, you don't have enough checkers or not open, or number two, you don't pay me to bag my own groceries. But we kind of view this technology as a intermediate step toward being able to walk out of the store with your grocery cart, which is where the future of checkout is going. The technology will be available where you can just put your groceries, especially as we begin to move toward a plastic bag free model, right? You put your groceries in your cart and you walk right out, and we will have the ability to charge you through a variety of different means, and you'll be able to go put it in your car and leave. So this is something that we have going on that you're going to begin to see. You probably have seen the way that our central checkouts are now, which they're more like in a little cluster. So it'll move to more of a seamless, linear checkout at the checkout stand. And like I said, it's exciting. Whenever I learned about this project, it was very exciting to me because of the intermediate step thought that the next step that comes from this is going to be really cool. You're not going to have to be, paid, or we're not going to have to pay you for bagging your own groceries. You'll be able to just walk out, and the environmental impact as well will be reduced if you just don't have to go in and bag those groceries. So that'll be something that we're excited about. Further, let me show you what we have in terms of what we're calling micro fulfillment centers. So one of the things that we're seeing is shopping trends are changing, right? Where there's less people coming in physically to do their shopping, but many are doing delivery and pickup. Like at Walmart, I do strictly, or 95%, I did 95% of the time, I just do delivery. I'm a Walmart Plus member, which gives me unlimited shipping. And so I just have my groceries come in. But if you're one of those shoppers that goes into the stores You've probably seen Walmart employees going around and picking products, which is what we call it, but they're essentially shopping for customers that are going to have their groceries delivered, or for customers that are going to come and do grocery pickup. So what we're doing is we're converting a portion of our stores, maybe 20%, 25, 30% of the footprint within a store in the back end is converted essentially to automated, as you can see, with technology being able to, we will have stock the top items that people generally shop for. And as you can see in this one particular image, it'll essentially, the system will pick the order, and then you just have people come and collect it and put it in bins to be able to be picked up or dropped off at a customer's home. We're also testing technology where our employees can actually bring the groceries directly into your garage or directly into your house, and even place a cold items in your fridge if you so like. So this is the future of streamlining and making life more convenient for our customers. And please feel free to stop me at any time if you got any specific questions on what I'm showing. Let me show you the next bit, which is our use of automated vehicles. And I will also mention that we want to, I know there's a lot of money coming to states, and I'm not sure if it's coming down to the MPO level, but we want to be part of the conversation because we would like to have electric vehicle charging stations at our parking lots. We just think it's a win-win for communities to be able to have that. And Walmarts are centrally located in many, many communities. But this particular clip that I'm going to show you is about our automated vehicle pilot programs that you will begin to see in your communities before too long. Can you guys hear that, Carlo?
Yes.
Okay. So a couple of features that are cool about that is you can honk at it and nobody will get offended. There will be no driver in the cab to flip you off or to say something. So you can honk at it all day long. But also you probably noticed that those trucks are not meant to be last mile, so they're middle mile, right? And what we mean by that is you will not see them on the highways going long distances. And you will not see them going from the stores to the customers. This will essentially be from local or regional distribution centers to stores or between stores. And that gives Walmart the ability to be able to, if Carlo wants a product that is not near his closest store, but it is near another store, and that happens, dozens and hundreds of times a day, there will be the ability to kind of go cross town, cross region ability. Now, for the last mile, we do have a solution for that. And that I wanted to mention because we have some projects, particularly in the DFW area, going on which I could really use the help of the folks on this call. But let me show you this video to see what we're talking about.
Cutting edge of technology. If you want proof, just look to the sky. 5 News reporter Malia Masamoto shows us how a company already making drone deliveries is expanding its footprint.
I'm here at the Walmart Drone Up launch pad, and right here is the air traffic control tower. And if you walk with me, here's the drone that's about to take off. Drone Up has delivery hubs at Walmart stores in Bentonville, Rogers, and Farmington.
It's a new mobility. I mean, it's the future of mobility in delivery.
And that was on full display Thursday as the company showcased that and what else its drones can do.
Being a resource for things like construction monitoring, property management oversights, and kind of aerial photography, so those drone services where we can support the community.
And it's the type of innovation community leaders are eager for.
Obviously, we're the home of the world's largest retailer, and so having them see success with these new technologies is exciting for not only for Bentonville, but really for the region.
As Northwest Arkansas cities aspire to be more tech-forward, smart cities, we can help support them in those areas too.
The launch pads have pilots, visual observers, and delivery specialists. The drones aren't able to fly in stormy or windy weather yet, but they're constantly working to innovate.
I kind of joke because Drone Up was talking about us sort of being the Silicon Valley of air mobility and innovation, and I said, let's call it Bentonville Valley or Benton County Valley or Northwest Arkansas Valley.
Hey, Ivan, I have 2 questions. So first is, if an autonomous vehicle gets pulled over by the police, what happens? I hope you keep your cameras on to see how the police officer reacts. Have you thought about stuff like that?
Yeah, so that's a good question. I mean, there's going to be dispatchers essentially that will have video within the cab, and they'll also have the ability, like a radio, to be able to communicate. And there's a certain, I forget what the limit is, but they basically got to be within like a 5-mile radius. Like they got to be able to show up pretty quickly. So yeah, that's a good question. That's one of the first things that, that comes up.
Second question is, I know that you're piloting the Drone Up in Arkansas. Do you have plans to expand any of those pilot programs to Texas? And if so, we would love to have first dibs in some of our cities to pilot some of these programs.
Yeah, I'm so glad you asked, Carlos. So we're piloting the Drone Up. We have, I think it's like 10 sites in DFW, and we're having a heck of a time in almost all of them getting permits because of the towers. So I know Plano, I think Andrew's with the city of Plano. Man, Andrew, I would love to connect with you after the fact.
Sure.
Because I know that we're having trouble with the permitting process. So that was one of the reasons, part of why I thought it would be really cool to connect with you all, because all of these changes require permits. And so I think folks at your level are excited, like we are, about the technology and the innovation and the ability to serve our customers better and be able to, attract additional investment into the communities. But at the planning level, people are doing their jobs, right? And the permitting processes can be extremely cumbersome and discourage some of that, right? If we go and we sit down with the city of Plano, and it's going to be difficult to get a permit there, but there's a community elsewhere where we can get that. That's why we started in Arkansas, right? Because it's just a little bit easier for us to get some of that permit. But yeah, we have some. I can send you a list of where we're at, and any help that you guys can do to tie us into the local communities would be very much appreciated.
Perfect. And just to be clear, this isn't a PSA for Walmart. They're not sponsoring, although we will take their money. They're not sponsoring Bay City Chiefs, and we're not asking anybody to shortcut anything for Walmart or anything special. But having a point of contact is helpful. And wouldn't it be great if we could kind of band together as a state and say, hey, it's not just Plano or Fort Worth or San Antonio or Sugar Land that wants to do a pilot program or wants to be innovative. It's the state of Texas. We are an innovative, forward-thinking state. And that's why if you're looking at relocating your headquarters from abroad or looking at opening up an office or a sales shop or a manufacturing plant, consider the state of Texas. And I think if we can regionalize some of this marketing and regionalize some of these efforts, we can pull more business in. That's just good for everybody.
I would want to put one big caveat on that statement, and that is to understand, as our state friends have failed to do so with regards to the individual needs of cities, and making sure that with regards to those permits, understanding the unique characteristics of each community, and understanding, like in Houston, for example, we don't have land use regulation. So the permitting system that we have at a local level doesn't need to be usurped by the state, taking away those local protections that we have for Walmart's customers and the citizens of our city with it. So would just want to make sure that in being able to try and help accommodate the advancing technologies, that we understand and appreciate those local concerns that cities have, and not do what our telecom friends have done in going to the state to have a uniform system that disregards those local concerns that a lot of us have.
No, that's a great point, BK, and we're not at all suggesting to give up local control. And I think it's actually more powerful to say, as a group of cities in a state, we're all purposely working together because we want to, not because we have to. And of course, we can localize certain things that it doesn't make sense to do in Houston that it might in Amarillo. So, your point well taken. Gerald had a question. We have an airport. Will that make the process easier for drone use? And does that, Ivan, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's a good question, Gerald. My understanding is that the concern from communities, or I guess that the where the process bogs down is in the towers, the height of the towers, and where they can be placed. So it's kind of, I think, where our teams are struggling. And to Brian's point, I think we need to be able to work together, have some dialogue. They need to be a certain height to be able to see and to be able to have good connections with the drones. But I think a lot of cities have regulations into the height and how high they can be and what location they can be. So I think that's where we're having some friction, right? Where it's like, when we say, well, they got to be in this location because this is where they're going to be delivering. This is how high they got to be so that we can maintain connection. And maybe in the planning department, they say, well, that's not permitted. You got to be lower than that. You got to be in a different location. And so I think maybe just bringing in some pragmatism to say, okay, is there a way to work together? Is there a way to make it work? Let's understand each other's needs. Like you said, it's not necessarily about let's expedite it. Let's, bypass everything. And no, I think it's more about like, is there room in the process to be pragmatic with the thinking? And I don't know, maybe there isn't, but I think that's where, because our folks also are guilty of, they'll look at a map, right? And they'll be like, this is where we're going to go, right? Like, this is where the customers are, without really talking to the cities first. And so I think that's where my role is coming in a little bit, to say, well, is there an opportunity to sit down and say, hey, here's what we're trying to do. What are the constraints, and is there a way to work together through some of these points?
And Ivan, we're happy in Plano to be a test case for that. And anytime you want to set up a meeting, I'm happy to have you and any of your team over, and we can kind of walk through those points.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Andrew. I appreciate it.